So you are probably wondering if it's time for you to take a break. There's a good chance that you are probably working, overworking, right? You might be getting to the point that you're beginning to feel exhausted, fatigued, no longer motivated, and just generally no longer interested. Um, and you're wondering, like, do I need a break? Well, I have your answer here. I am going to share with you today 7 warning signs that you may need a break. And when I'm talking about taking a break, yes, I am talking about taking a sabbatical, or sometimes people call it a mini retirement, um, or a grown up gap year. And so you may be wondering when it's the right time, and is now the time, and how will I know when it's the right time? And hopefully I can answer some of those questions for you today, but also provide you with some additional information on some other things that you can do if you've determined that now is not the right time, in order to just make your life more sustainable so that you're not feeling like you need to run away. But for now, let's get into what are the signs that you need a break. Let's get into it. One of the first signs that you need a break is that you have a strong feeling that you need a break. You clicked on this video, and so it seems like you might be having that feeling that you need a break. That's a good sign. That's called your intuition. I'm going to also call it your inner voice. And I think that unfortunately, many of us have become so accustomed to ignoring our inner voice, to putting our inner voice on mute, that we are looking for validation, for permission from someone else to tell us what our internal voice is already telling us that we need, right? Your inner voice may already be telling you that you need a break, that you need some rest, that you need some time off, that you need some rejuvenation, some recuperation, whatever the case is. But I would say definitely listening and tuning into your inner voice. Your voice may be telling you that it's time to take a break. Number 2 is that you are already trying to figure out ways to take a break, even though it doesn't even feel realistic yet. So you are already in your mind starting to work through strategies and do the problem solving work of figuring out if it were possible, or even though it seems impossible, you're trying to figure out how you could take a break, what you could do, what you could move. How could you order your things, get your life in order, move finances, or do, who could you call on to help you? Where could you move, right, for reduced cost of living, in order to start to set aside some funds, in order to save up some money in order to take a break? So you've already started thinking through some of those things. That is a sign that you do need a break, right? You're already working on putting some things in place. And for you, another question that you may be asking yourself is, how do I know when, right? Because truly there may not be a perfect time, but certainly you know that you need one and you're trying to figure out when. And I would say set a date. Set a date. I don't know that the stars are going to align to tell you for sure when is the right time, but I would say the right time is whenever you decide that it's the right time for you. So set a date. Now you have it. The next one that I have is that you are feeling overwhelmed and there seems to be no end in sight until retirement, which for you is maybe a long way off. And a long way off is very relative. A long way off, if you're tired, could be a year. A long way off could be 5 years. A long way off could be 10 years. I remember a time when I was finally starting my work as a nurse practitioner. I had gone to school. I had became a registered nurse. I had gotten a 2-year degree. Without taking a break, I went on to get a 4-year degree. And without taking a break, I went on to get my graduate degree. And then I immediately had a couple children, etc. And did that all without having taken any time off to rest. I finally graduated with my graduate degree. Immediately thereafter, I went ahead and took on a job as a nurse practitioner. And I remember at that time that I had been working my job by that point probably for about 6 months, right? I was so excited to be in that role. I had worked extremely hard, put myself through college, etc., to get there. And 6 months into the job, I remember sitting there, pulling up my paycheck, my pay stub, and sitting down wondering how many more days I was going to have to go into that office and do that job before I could retire to have a break and get some rest. At that point, I believe I was 27 years old. I was about 27 years old, and retirement was a good long way off, right? For me, my age group, retirement is, I think, 70 something? So I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I could maybe be doing this for how many years? Over 40 years until I'm in my 70s before I could retire or take a break. And just knowing that in the back of my mind started making me feel like tired. I started to feel fatigued and overwhelmed. And I realized that all the work that I had done to get there, and I still hadn't had a break. And it was just overwhelming. Deep breath. But one thing that I will say that I've learned right at this stage is that a break is not something that is going to be given. Sometimes you just have to take a break. So if I could go back and tell my younger self something, I would say, yes, you need a break. Go ahead and take a break. Don't wait. Don't wait for somebody to give you a break. Decide when you're going to take a break and take a break, because girl, you did it. You're here. You have arrived. Take some time off and rest, because you definitely need some rest. So the next one that I have on my list is, yes, you have no time for yourself. You're so busy taking care of everyone else, everything else. You're doing all the things that you're supposed to be doing, and you're doing them well. You're doing them effectively. You're doing them efficiently. And interestingly enough, being so efficient, being so effective, being so productive has opened doors of opportunity to do more work. To which you've said yes, right? Because this is who you are as far as you know, up to this point in your life. And at this stage, you are likely feeling like you don't even have time for yourself. You're running around taking care of everything for everybody, and you don't have time for yourself. Well, let me tell you, this is a sign that you need to take a break, right? You need to take a break, a step back, and you need to learn how to use the word no. No with grace, but it's definitely a sign that it's time to take a break. The next that I have on my list is that when you do take time for yourself, you're feeling guilty and ashamed. Yeah, this is a sign that you do need to take a break, because this is indicating that your priorities have gotten so, I don't want to say out of order, but have been shifted so much until you think that your priority is to take care and do things for other people more than for yourself. You now are beginning to believe that taking time for yourself is something to be guilty about. And that is not true. Good. It is okay to take time for yourself without feeling guilty or shame. And in fact, it's healthy and normal. Because look, if you don't take care of yourself, nobody's going to take care of you. You need to take care of yourself. The next thing that I have on my list is that you are noticing that you are feeling more frustrated, more irritable, short-tempered. People are getting on your nerves, and you know that that's not normally how you are, and that's not who you are, and that is not in alignment with who you see yourself. That is not how you see your future self, nor is it how you see your present self. But that's definitely a sign that you need a break. You need to take a step back. You need to take a break. You need to take some deep breaths, some time off to clear your mind, clear your plate, clear your thoughts, right? Definitely that's a sign. The next one that I have is fatigue. You're feeling constantly tired, constantly exhausted. You can lay down at night, get 8 hours of sleep, and you just wake up feeling tired, especially when you think about all the things that are on your to-do list. So feeling fatigued or overtired. And actually, I have a bonus one. I know I said 7, but I guess this is going to be number 8. You have a strong sense that you need to get away. It's like an internal sense of restlessness or in contentment, right? You're just not feeling content. It's like you're feeling like you need a complete change of environment. Like you want to just sell your house and move to a different country. And yes, some people are out here doing that. And look, do you know what I mean? I applaud those who are able to see what it is that they need and do what they have to do. But sometimes that is a sign that you likely you need a break, right? You need a break. You need to clear your mind. And for some people, that does mean selling their house and leaving the country. But for some people, you may want to take a break and get some clarity before making any major, huge decisions, right? Come down from that level of stress, get out of that survival mode, get your life back in balance, and then with clarity, make some more important decisions. But yes, also, I wanted to touch on the fact that there's a good chance that, like I said earlier, that over 95% of people just can't take a sabbatical or an extended period of time off. And so what do you do? What do you do when you're in that situation? I have a few items here that I think may be helpful. I know that they helped me. And if I could go back in time, reduce your workload. Reduce your workload. Oh my gosh. Some of y'all may know if you watch my channel, I am a formerly overworked nurse. And I remember back when I literally was working 2 or 3 jobs. I was working doubles. I was definitely earning the most money I had ever earned in my career, but it came at a cost, right? It came with a cost. And for me, it was my overall health and well-being. And interestingly enough, the stress levels were high. The money was coming in, but it didn't seem to stretch as you would think because the IRS had his hand in my pocket because taxes are real. But yeah, try to decrease your workload if you're able to. Not only your formal work, with your employer, decreasing your schedule, but also your workload at home. Who can help with some of the activities that you are taking care of? Who can you shift some of the responsibility to and get some things off your plate? So this is definitely something you can do in the interim, right? You may not be at a place where you can take a sabbatical or an extended period of time off, but you can certainly take one small step, try and see how you can reduce your workload, even if temporarily, even if it's for a month or 2 or 3. Reducing your workload can definitely help. The next one I have is, can you spend some time away, even if it's just like a weekend? Sometimes the thought of taking a sabbatical, which is an extended period of time off, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, the idea of it can be overwhelming, especially if you've never even taken like a weekend off. So let's start somewhere small, right? If the idea of taking 12 months off really seems overwhelming and really it's just a dream, right? You haven't taken any tangible steps to bring that into fruition. Why don't you start by planning a weekend away or even a week, right? Because then it's going to create for you, it's going to give you the ability to create those, allow that creative aspect of your brain to be enlightened, right? Where you start thinking strategically regarding how you can orchestrate and facilitate taking this time off. And it's going to have to start somewhere. So start with the weekend, start with the week, plan some time off to be with yourself and figure out how are you going to manage that? What things are going to be required? What things can you put in place? Are you going to have to arrange for childcare? Are you going to have to arrange for pet care? Those types of things. But it forces you to think through how you're going to arrange it. And then once you do it, it builds your confidence, right? It builds your courage, right? Once you do the one small thing, then you're like, wow, if I could do a weekend, if I could do a week, I could do 2 weeks, I could do a month, I could do 2 months. And it's exercising those muscles, and it's forcing the development of those new connections in your brain to think outside of the box that perhaps that you've been thinking in for the last several years. The next thing that I have on my list is ensuring that you get sufficient sleep. Well, I know you know this, right? Like, I be on my soapbox of getting enough sleep. And if you have watched any of my videos, I'm sure you know that I believe that sleep is the foundation of health in general. In particular, if you're feeling burnt out, overwhelmed, exhausted, fatigued, make sure that you are getting sufficient sleep, at least 8 hours a night. And also make sure that you're getting adequate hydration, good nutrition, as is within your power. Try and feed yourself nourishing foods, give yourself good water, and take times to rest. Rest and sleep are two separate things. So, yes, you should get sufficient sleep, and besides sleeping, you should have times to rest and relax. Two separate things, sleep and rest. And I want you to have both of them. You deserve both of them in your life. The next that I have is asking yourself the question, are you taking time out for enjoyment? Are you taking time out for enjoyment? What are the things that you enjoy? And hopefully you can identify a couple things. And if not, that's no problem. Take some time to explore some things that you enjoy. And I have in my notes to make sure that whatever it is that you find that you enjoy or that you say that you enjoy, that it's not a service to other people. And I think that it's important to call that out because sometimes we, especially if we're overachievers, right? If we're overachievers and we're very goal oriented and we're very self-sufficient and independent, right? Sometimes a lot of the things that we enjoy are actually services that we're providing to other people. So I'm going to have you push yourself beyond enjoyment that is service to others and think of things that you enjoy that's not a service to anyone else. This is time for you to think selfishly. Think of something that you enjoy that provides no service to anyone except for yourself. That's the area that we're gonna be in, right? And that's what's important in order for you to not be feeling overwhelmed and burnt out, is to spend time doing something that you enjoy that only benefits you. And finally, the last thing that I have on my list of something small you can do is take one small step. Like, challenge yourself and ask yourself, if there's only one thing that I had to do today in order for me to take a break, what is that one thing I can do? And try to do that one thing for yourself today because you deserve it. And that does help to force you into thinking creatively towards what you need. So that is what I have for you today. And I am also reading a book called Sabbaticals for Dummies, and I am finding it extremely helpful with providing me with like some structure, because I'm a person who enjoys structure, right? I love some instructions on how to do something. And so I will leave a link for that book below. I'm really enjoying it, and it's really helping for me to think about sabbaticals in ways that I haven't, and as normal, right? It's helping me to normalize it in my consciousness, normalize it in my life, because if you watch my last video, I have been planning to take a sabbatical, and I've been putting it off, right? And I'm trying to get myself to the point that I'm going to take it. And it's been a work, surprisingly enough. It's been a work in progress. But if you didn't see that video, I'll link it below as well. I also want to talk about the fact that it seems like a lot of people, right, are taking sabbaticals, taking extended periods of time off work. And so I specifically wanted to kind of look into the data and the research to see if the numbers are beginning to shift, because generally speaking, sabbaticals and extended periods of time are relatively new and are not something that has been available by most employees here in the United States of America. So I pulled some data, and I found a research article, and what it says is that about 59% of workers here in the US are feeling burned out. And in fact, this is more than the number of people who felt burnt out during the pandemic in 2020. And according to a Gallup survey poll, what they discovered is that employees were becoming less and less engaged in their employment and just feeling overall less motivated. And to me, that makes sense, right? With regard to the communities that I am in, and the groups that I'm in on Facebook and on YouTube, I'm definitely seeing that trend. And so this article went on to say that they actually surveyed people who had taken sabbaticals, and the sabbaticals of these individuals ranged between 3 and 12 months or so. And what they discovered was that a sabbatical typically followed a pattern, which was a time of recovery, a time of exploration, and then a time of practice. So typically, most people who took a sabbatical, the first part of the sabbatical was a time to recover and heal. And that looks different for everyone, but definitely that was consistently discovered when people took a sabbatical. And then over the course of time, people would begin to explore new things and then begin to practice, etc., and then eventually return to work for those who did. And then also what I discovered is that with taking sabbaticals, it's still pretty rare, especially here in the United States of America. Like more than 95% of people never have and possibly never will take a sabbatical because it's just not in the cards and doesn't seem realistic or feasible. But that's all I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed this one. Please go ahead and like, subscribe, leave me a comment below. Tell me if there's anything that you're doing. Are you in the phase of planning for a sabbatical? Have you been putting it off over and over again because of all kind of stuff? Who knows? But life happens. So here we are. Till next time. Bye.